If you're someone that's currently in the process of trying to lose weight, trying to drop that body fat, get shredded, but you don't know where to start when it comes to your macros, today I'm going to be explaining it to you to fit into your calorie target, to fit in your calorie deficit. I'm going to show you an example. I'm going to show you how I'd go about it and how I go about when it comes to setting it up with my clients. If you are in a fat loss phase, of course, we need to start with the calories and how you would set the calories, because being in a calorie deficit is what it's all about when it comes to losing weight and dropping that body fat. How I would set this up is, there's a number of different ways to go about it, but how I usually run it is you can look at the basis of yourself and put it into a calorie calculator, find out exactly based on your height, your weight, your activity level, where roughly your maintenance calories are going to be. But this is very generic. So what I would do is use this as a baseline, and then for a week, which is what I do with my clients, I run an assessment week. So I'd run your own individual assessment week on yourself where you track absolutely everything that's going into your body. So you've got your calories, your proteins, your carbs, your fats, your weight daily, any steps you're doing, any training you're doing, and any cardio you're doing. Then I would log absolutely everything that I'm eating down to a T and use the data that I get there to decide what my calorie target is. And I can see trends of what my weight's doing. So for example, if on average you were eating 2,500 calories a day and your weight stayed around the same for a full 7 days, everything was tracked, everything was perfect, you know roughly that that's probably around where your maintenance is. Now the calorie calculator may have said something very different. So go off the basis of your body and what you are seeing in real time. Then what I would do is I would drop the calories by 300 to 500 to put yourself in a good enough deficit. But you don't want to be pushing too hard, especially when you first start in your fat loss, because you don't want to just be running yourself into the ground with absolutely nowhere to go. Now, these assessment weeks that I run with my clients are exactly how I have explained them. It allows me to see in real time exactly what's going on, to make the plan to suit them, because at the end of the day, your calorie deficit, your maintenance is going to be different to anybody else's. It needs to fit you. So that's what I do. Use the calorie calculator to get a rough estimation of where everything's at, and then run my own assessment week on myself. In this video today, I'm going to be showing you an example of an 85 kg male who's on 1,900 calories for his calorie deficit. And I'm going to show you two different options that I would run as a coach to allow the best performance and to see what the client's needs were. With the calories set, I would then work out the macros, and this is all individual preference of where you want to be at in terms of what your training's looking like, how much you're actually doing. So protein would be set first, anywhere between 1.7 to 2.2 grams per kg of body weight. One of the examples we're using today is a higher protein, lower carb approach, and the second example is going to be a higher carb and a lower protein approach, both fitting within the protein reference of 1.7 to 2.2. This is option one, which is the high protein option. We've got the calories at 1,900. We've got the protein set at 187 grams, which is 2.2 times kg of body weight. And then I'm going to set the fats at 59. So set your protein, set your fats, and then the rest is built up through the carbs. The carbs come in at 155 grams of carbs, which is on the lower end for a diet. But if you prefer your higher protein because it keeps you satiated, then this is the approach that I would take. So option two looks like this, same calories, 1,900. Then we've gone to the lower end of the 1.7 for the protein, which is 145 grams. I've set the fats at 45, which is a little bit lower than this, but we're making up the rest from the carbs. So this is the higher carb option, 229 grams of carbs in this. Same calories, two different approaches. And the carb difference in these two is 74 grams between the two. Now this is all individual preference. If you like to run higher protein, because like I've said before, it keeps you fuller, keeps you satiated, and you like keeping them carbs low, then this is the approach I'd take. But if you want to have a bit more performance around your training and after your training with more carbs, you can run this approach. It is exactly the same calories. You are still going to be in that calorie deficit. It just depends which approach you want to take and what your goals are. If you are someone that is training in the gym 3 to 4 times a week, and you do a bit of running, then chances are this is going to be the approach for you. If you're someone that is just simply weight training and maybe doing some low intensity cardio, high incline walk or step machine, this might be the approach for you. It all depends on the individual person. Now, I've not really spoken about fats, but I'm just going to quickly run over it to you. So in this one, we had the higher fats, and in this one, we had the lower fats, both in a good range for this person. And basically, don't be cutting them fats out your diet. Too many people are quick to slash fats, drop them to the floor. You need fats in your diet. Fats are essential and they're so important when it comes to your hormone health, your brain health, your general health, and just making sure your body functions properly. If you drop your fats too low, you're going to feel like absolute shit on a day-to-day basis. You're already in a calorie deficit. Calories are already going to be low. Whichever option you use, you aren't going to feel great when it comes to that back end of the diet. So if your fats are also non-existent from the start, and then they get worse and worse as it goes on, you are going to feel like shit. Your hormones will be all over the place. You just won't feel great day to day. And that is something that you need. And that is why the fats are essential. That's why we've got them in there at a higher range, and we've still got them in there, even though they're not as high, they're in a good range for this person. The biggest thing I see when it comes to people setting their macros is they instantly think, because they're in a calorie deficit and I need to lose weight, they've all heard the saying of no carbs before marbs. And what most people will do is have the calories set at 1,900, the protein super high, and these will be non-existent from the start. If these are non-existent from the start, so let's say we've put this male into his calorie deficit, he's 2 to 3 weeks in, and these are non-existent. Where are you going to go from there? You've still got to go to the gym. You've still got to train. Carbs fuel your performance, so they have to be in there. And that is the mistake I see time and time again, is people just thinking, I don't need carbs in my diet. It's going to make me lose fat so much quicker. It's all over the internet. It's been plastered over the internet for years. Drop your carbs dead low and you'll lose fat. Yeah, you will, but you'll also lose fat by being in a calorie deficit. You need carbs to fuel your sessions. If you're going into the gym and your carbs are non-existent, you're not going to be training hard. You're not going to be making much progress. You're going to feel like shit. You're not going to be recovering properly. I've seen it so many times. I've had new clients come on, and like I've mentioned the assessment week, and I've seen it firsthand. I'm looking at what they're doing and there's no carbs in the diet. They've told me they've tried to diet before. Oh, what did you do? What did you do? Well, I did this and I just ramped my carbs dead low. And then when you see what they're doing and you're thinking, these guys ain't even 100 grams of carbs. Like, how are they expecting to function and how are they expecting to feel and where they're meant to go? We need to keep training hard. We need to keep training effectively to keep the muscle that we have gained while we've been in a gaining phase, or we have grown, or whatever. You do not want to be losing muscle when you are in a calorie deficit. And if you're not training properly, you're not pushing your sets to failure, you're not training hard, then that is going to happen, and carbs will fuel that. So make sure that you keep carbs in there. It is one of the worst things that you can do, is getting rid of carbs completely out your diet just because someone on The Only Way is Essex or someone on the internet told you that was the thing to do. One of the final issues that I see when it comes to people setting the calorie targets and setting the macro targets is they're not actually hitting these calories. They're not putting themselves in a calorie deficit. They're not tracking everything, or they don't know how to track properly, or they're not tracking the drinks, sugary drinks, coffees, syrups, little bites here and there, sweets, a little bit off the kids' plate, whatever it is. And that 1,900 calories can quickly become 2,500 calories. You're no longer in a deficit. So if you track whichever option you use, high protein option, high carb option, make sure you are bang on sticking to them calories and to them macro targets that you see in both of them. Both of them put you in a deficit. They just do different things, and they're going to help you in different ways based on you as a human being. And that is simply how I would go about setting your macros up. So going back over everything I've said to make it as simple as I possibly can, set your calories, find out what your maintenance calories are at, drop it by 300 to 500, set your protein first based on where you want your protein target, 1.7 to 2.2 grams per kg of body weight, then put your fats in, and then make the rest up from carbs. It's that simple. The carbs are going to fuel your performance. Make them how you want them for whatever you're doing. And that is it for this video. I wanted to break down everything for you as simply as I possibly could, because the worst thing is getting confused by these things. So if you have taken any information from this video or it has helped you out, please let me know. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and linked down below is a free 4-day training split, upper, lower, push, pull, where you can track all your sets, all your weights, all your reps, and make progress every single week. And I'll see you for the next one. Boom.